Hey everyone, JC of StarCraft here, bringing you Game 1 of the semifinals best of 3 match between Socke and BratOK. So, action getting started here for the Go4SC number, no, I'm sorry, not a number, it's actually the Go4SC 32 August Cup Finals. And right now, Socke going to be spawning as the Red Terran in the 9 o'clock position, where Red Protoss, well, I've been getting those mixed up all day long. I've been doing a marathon cast session trying to keep up with this tournament. Anyways, BratOK spawning as the Yellow Terran in the 3 o'clock position, and Socke spawning as the Red Protoss in the 9 o'clock position. So they are across, they're definitely across on the map. Both of these players are, I think, can be known for their epic games. BratOK has that ability to really come from behind. I've seen several games where he's kind of used some strategy to come from behind and really, while he's been down and out, able to come back. Meanwhile, Socke having those really great epic games at the MLG just doesn't give up, and I think neither player really knows or understand what giving up means, and is just determined to the very bitter end to fight things out, as they have some of the best comeback games I've watched in StarCraft 2. So hopefully, great to see these two players battling out. BratOK, one of my favorite Terran players to watch. He's very creative and very kind of has a lot of different play. Has a lot of tools under his belt. In the beta, he was very active. Kind of opted for an early ghost attack against his Protoss opponent. Has kind of changed that up during the launch of StarCraft 2. I think now still favoring Bio significantly. He does a great job kind of doing sending auxiliary armies, medevacs, and trying to do some drops into the bases and trying to divert the forces around a lot. So curious to see what he's going to be doing this game against his opponent. And right now it looks like Socke going to be going with a pretty standard opening, not going to be applying any sort of crazy amount of early game pressure as he did earlier with Naruto, or I think it was him. It has been pretty much Terran Protoss the entire time. I don't think anyone in the top 8 was a Zerg player. No, there was actually, I'm sorry, Damaga actually made it into the top 8, but unfortunately BratOK he did meet up with BratOK in the first round, so the only Zerg player, a very strong one in Damaga of course, was unfortunately taken out. And right now it looks like BratOK just going to be scouting around the base of Socke, and Socke not opting to get, it looks like he doesn't have a Zealot in production. He's going to be waiting until that Cybernetics Core comes out. BratOK trying to do as much damage to this pylon as possible, but that SCV is going to have to retreat at this point, and multiple Marines out for BratOK, getting his factory up and running. Should be pretty interesting to see what he does with it, getting his second gas as well. Socke already has a second gas, going to be pumping out some Stalkers right now, and should be interesting to see if Socke is going to go for a 2-gate robo, if his next one is a robo facility or whatnot. Both players pretty actively scouting out the map right now. I think trying to avoid, trying to play cat and mouse right now with the Marines, trying to hunt down that lone probe he knows is out there somewhere. And meanwhile, back at the base, going to go 1-1-1 immediately so he can get that starport up and running. Curious to see what he's going to do. Has an SCV out in the middle of nowhere, possibly trying to build some sort of proxy thing going down, and it looks like BratOK holding off against that scout, trying to get some more supply depots down as well. So Stargate actually pretty close to the edge for Socke, so it looks like he might be going with 2-gate Stargate. Is he going to be going with Void Rays? Possibly not. Maybe opting for Phoenixes this game, as BratOK does have a bunch of Marines out. If he's seen BratOK play before, which I'm sure he has, I think he knows that BratOK loves that Bio build, especially against Protoss. So Void Rays probably won't do quite as well in the early game, and BratOK now preparing for any sort of early push from his opponent with the supply depot here, and bunkers kind of choking, bunker and supply depots choking off in the back, getting a reactor down for his racks, and looks like he is going to be pumping out some Banshees right now. So Banshees very favorable for Terran versus Protoss currently on the pro level. The first Phoenix is going to be coming in to do some scouting. Phoenixes have a ton of HP and shields, so they can really really do some damage. Waiting for this Banshee to pop out, so BratOK's going to have to pull some Marines out of that bunker and harass it as much as possible. The Phoenix is fast enough that it can come in, do some harass. When that second Phoenix does come out, it will be able to do some harassment as well as continually scout for Socke at that point, and Cloak is actually being researched for BratOK as well. So definitely going to be pushing ahead with these with the Banshees, and it looks like another robo facility is finally going down for Socke. Needs to get that detection up and running. He knows that the Banshees are incoming at this point, so should be prepped for that, and does have anti-air to kind of fight it off and kind of stalk it down as well. So Banshee out, I think, already right now, just kind of holding its ground, possibly waiting for some reinforcements, or it looks like waiting for Cloak to finish. A Raven is now coming out as well to try to hunt down and take out any potential observers in the air. The more observers he can kill, the more his Cloak actually works out for him. Looking at the income tab, Socke slightly ahead, having chrono boosted his probes, and both players still one basing at this point, giving a lot of respect to each other for and kind of seeing each other out. Knows that his opponent is pumping out just a ton of bio units, throwing down even that third Rax at this point. Phoenix is now going to come in and try to do some harassment if they can, pick up any SCVs, and further establish that income disparity right now, 35 over 29 Harvesters. BratOK is constantly pumping them out, but the chrono boost of Socke, and now BratOK going to be coming in, but not going to do much damage as there are Stalkers on the ground, Observer in the air, and I think BratOK unfortunately is going to have to give up on that. Looking at the production tab, is not going to be pumping out any more of the Banshees, and a little bit costly for him, that Cloak research. Now getting the Medivacs to kind of support his ground army, figures that it's not going to hold out for very long. Socke now going to be taking that time, having taken out the Banshee and researching charge for his ground units, for his Zealots, getting up a few more gateways and taking his expansion, moving in with the Phoenixes to do some sort of harass right here, picking off a few of the SCVs as they can with the Graviton Beam, and it looks like BratOK going to be sliding a little bit behind in economy at this point. Now trying to focus on getting this Phoenix harass out of his base as much as possible. BratOK now going to be pumping out just a few more. Does not have any Vikings on the way, just opting to go for the M&M, or for him the M&M, Marine and Medivac. I eventually think that he will be getting some sort of Ghost Academy down, as he does favor that. The supply depot, the bunker has been salvaged at this point. Phoenixes are still wandering around, and most of Socke's forces are kind of hanging out here to defend against any push on top or coming from the ramp over here from the gold as well. So good positioning from Socke to kind of hold things down. And BratOK now going to be moving out now that he's established his missile turret. I assume the command center is going to be going up now that the minerals are being saved. Right now we're at 370, 380, and 400, so he can be building a command center pretty soon, or just maybe opting to bulk up. Is behind in the army count, possibly a chunk of that is the Harvesters, so 37 to 30 right now, but even with that, Socke's army is still significantly larger at this point. Or not significantly, just a little bit larger at this point, I'm sorry, the wrong word being used there. And BratOK now, I think, finally going to be taking his expansion, so has been behind quite a bit in this game. Now throwing down the command center and still trying to catch up as best as he can. The mules have been helping out a little bit, but not enough, and constant harassment from Socke at BratOK's base. BratOK might be pushing at this point, takes out that Zelnaga watchtower, and Socke now just going to be scouting things out a little bit here. Maybe doesn't want his opponent, wants to make sure that his opponent doesn't expand and take over. So sides of the map haven't really been established yet. Normally it's top versus bottom where they're going to establish their sides, although maybe he doesn't want a half and half split. That'd be really weird. It usually is going to be top and bottom at this point. So BratOK moving in, and the Raven gets taken out from the Phoenix. Kind of costly for BratOK at this point, who's lost a significant number of more units. Going to be pushing in right now. I think this should be a pretty interesting, trying to split up his army. There are a ton of charge lots on the ground. Not going to be favorable for BratOK, but still pushing ahead. There's a Psystorm already being researched, and a Psystorm is coming down. The amulet is coming out, the Caridian amulet coming down for the Templars, so going to make them that much more deadly. As soon as they're summoned, they are able to throw off that single Psystorm. And BratOK now just trying his very best, and going to be losing almost all his army right now. I think just trying to kite away, but the Zealots do have charge lots. This is not a time to engage for BratOK. I think knew that he was behind, knew that he had to pressure his opponents, but needs to constantly kite and more units being morphed in as there is everything just going down now for Socke. So he's setting up a bunch of defenses at his base. This could be it for BratOK at this point. I'm sorry, everything going down for BratOK, and this could be it for him as a huge army is pushing in. 70 over 58. BratOK is significantly behind, and